All right, all my little YouTube motherfuck faces. All right, we're doing it big tonight. We're doing a simulcast, first time in history, simulcast with one legendary Tim Osman. You know, it's Validation Boy live stream November 19th, 2019. And we got pretty much the greatest guest, one of the greatest guests that this show has ever had, a non-flat earther named Tim Osman, also known as Timothy Osman. Are you there?
I sure am. It's very nice to join you on your Trollcast, my friend.
Trolls for life, baby.
So what do you want to get into first, VB? I know you wanted to talk about this Logan Paul situation. I've just recently obviously talked about the 33,000 subs on Wolfie 6020, a channel that's been around since 2015 that has raised 33,000 subs in a month. And then, of course, we know what happened to PsyOp Man Scam, which I did get an email from him last night. I guess he was listening to me and Antonio as well as some of my bits against him last night. So we'll go through that as well. But there are some very interesting things happening, I suppose you can say, in the world of flat Earth. And I'm always here to report on it. So tonight I'm just the reporter.
All right. So I mean, you know, you being a proponent for the globe and everything, and PsyOp Man Dan also being a proponent for the globe, what is it that led you to go so hard against him?
It's mostly because we haven't seen this kind of action here in Flat Earth at all, and really you don't see this much in YouTube. Sometimes people do have some viral videos that bring them tons of subs. Sometimes it happens, but then we look at what kind of videos PsyOp Man Scam was actually putting out, and I'm just not too impressed with him sitting in a corner talking about Flat Earth and how they're stupid, as opposed to me witnessing for literally 4 years now different people with much better information, much better observations, much better presentation, much better video quality, everything stagnate in this whole thing. So for some reason, this guy comes in and gets, I mean, he's at like 90,000 subs. I think I still have a counter on my channel, but you know, it's just a stupid number of subs. Yes, Jeranism, yes, ODD has close or more, but they also acquired that over years. And also they did at ODD for sure bought bots when he first started his 24-hour live. So just saying, I don't think it looks very natural, doesn't look very organic, just like the beginning of the Flat Earth PsyOp with these people such as Mark Sargent and Eric Dubay and all these clowns. That didn't look natural to me then, and I called it out. And PsyOp Man Scam now doesn't seem to fit what I've ever seen before. So I'm just pointing it out. I'm just pointing out the obvious, but a lot of the Globers are just kind of cucking out to him, I suppose you could say.
Wow. Yeah, I tried to sit through like one of his videos, and I mean, he seemed like a kind of a ludicrous guy. He's not as bad as Heath, you know, and he's definitely not as smug as like Greater Sapien or Slice Barcane. But I mean, I guess he's nothing to be proud of, especially getting those kinds of numbers that fast. It just looks very bad for your side of the whole thing, right?
Well, it's questionable. Of course, like I say, sometimes things do go viral. Sometimes things are promoted by Google for various means, as in maybe you buy something or for some reason they're trying to push something along. Now, as I pointed out the other day with Wolfie 6020's channel, they said, I don't know why, the top comment with like 12,000 likes. I'm not sure why this is my recommended, but that flat earther owes you money. And then there's a bunch of comments. So there was other people that this for some reason, Wolfie 6020 for some reason popped up in their feed, and that's why he has over like 4 million views on this whole $100,000 flat Earth challenge that's happened. So I don't think that's natural. I don't think it, because I haven't experienced it. I haven't seen that kind of growth except for the Limitless channel and Event Skeptic, the little two queerbaits or whatever over there, the simulation porridge monkey people. When they bought subs, bought views, lied to me about it when I called them out. When I was watching, I was refreshing, and 5,000 more views would be there. I'd refresh again, and there would be like 2,000 more views. So I was like, for about 2 months, I told them, hey, you're bullshitting. You did this, blah, blah, blah. Finally, they admit to it. And of course, they're the Christians and they're the Christ-like people or whatever. But they're sitting there lying about this whole, the greatest truth documentary ever, when really they just bought a bunch of fucking views for it. So this is the whole thing. Why are people buying views? Why is it really essential to make a job out of debunking flat Earth? This isn't something I've done. I've never asked for a cent from anyone on YouTube ever, because I make my own money and I was interested in truth and I came here and I spent a lot of time in it. I spend way more time than I would ever in anything without making any money. But because I care, you know, and some people will call me a shill for that. And, you know, I almost don't I don't disagree with them in that their mentality is, of course, the conspiratorial mindset, but also they see a guy was like, what are you gaining, dude? You're not monetizing. You don't have a Patreon like all these other people now. You don't have anything. So what are you gaining? So I can understand where they're coming from. But at the same time, like I said, ever since 9/11 and me figuring that out, I've been kind of out and about, man.
So these people are saying that because you're not monetized, that there's something else going on, that you're shady, and that's why Tim Osman is a shill.
No, it was kind of a point of contention in different conversations I've had with people where I would say, well, hey, you know, people in flat Earth are monetized. They want money from you. They want Patreon. They want all this kind of stuff. PayPal, Jeranism. Look at that. How many fucking ways you can pay him? I'm just saying
that are all about that money. I mean, do you think that there's an honest division happening, or you think that that's kind of not something that's real, or at least not yet?
I think that's kind of the nature of the beast that we live in, as far as the money system, the debt-based society, the petrodollar that we all live under. It's kind of a natural thing to say, hey, well, you know what, I might be spending 20 hours a week here, and I got a kid, and I got to feed my family. And when I go to work, I get paid like a lot more than nothing, right? So this is a waste of time for me, unless I get some monetary aspect to it. So I understand where it comes from, but there is a cost, there is a price of truth, and we're seeing that with channels like Jeff C. of old, the you know, the one of the original kind of truther, so to speak, people, where he wants $20 Patreon money for you to even come and join his panel. People like John LeBon that are changing the €5 a week to €10 a week for him, for you to hear his opinions on what he denies and what he accepts, and his you know, research into the things that lead him to deny things such as dinosaurs, no one died on 9/11, no planes, all of these just completely bizarre things. And really, at a certain point, it's a question of, are these people posed, or are they just playing a part? They see a niche group of people. John LeBon has talked about it so many times. So maybe he sees, you know, he says even today that, you know, in 2019, he's not going to have basically a job. He's going to just be a truther full time, where he just denies dinosaurs and granddaddy hoaxes and, you know, great granddaddy hoaxes and all this kind of shit, where it's just like, what happened, dude? Like at the beginning, Jeff C. was one of the ones, I'll never accept $1. We'll never do this. We'll never do that. And then, you know, a couple years later, come to find out that's not the case anymore. And then you start looking around. Even at the beginning, the Globe debunkers weren't asking for money. They weren't wanting new cars or P1000s from some random people or something. They weren't, you know. And now it's like, that's all it is.
I think usually what happens is that on most of these people's journeys, at some point they encounter some huge drama, and then after that big dramatic thing goes down, then it's the big turn, and then they start asking for money, right? Like with Jeff C, it was the fucking the airplane hoax, the Thailand or something like that.
And that's a kind of an interesting aspect to bring it up, because I do need to almost expand on that, where we have this quote unquote truth community, maybe even coming up on 7 years ago. I don't really know. I kind of lose track of time, but John LeBon was a key character in that. Twit was another key character in the chat. There was a lot of people that still followed that crowd, or that similar crowd, or around that. But as far as myself, I dropped off a little bit out of that crowd with the flat Earth, because One thing that you brought up is that there was a crash that had nothing to do with anything. And you had the John LeBons on one side saying that they're faking some crash, which, of course, just like Flat Earth, there's absolutely no cui bono. Who benefits? Why are they doing this? This kind of like motive kind of aspect to it. Why would they fake a fucking plane crash in Taiwan? There was no reason to. They were looking at the children's hair. It wasn't wet enough for them. The guy's hair wasn't wet. This picture was a photo op because of this and that. So this was a major divide to begin with in the so to speak community. I have to put it that way, the truth community, because that's what it was at the beginning 6 years ago or so. And then that happens, and there was a major divide. Now, right after that, the killing blow was the flat earth sophism psyop Trojan horse meme of the late 2014, where people like Eric Dubay, Cow Patty Steer, and Mark Sargent came around and started pitching new ideas that would further divide these people that are very conspiratorial biased and will basically look at these things and say, hey, I like that idea. I like to hear about it. It really invigorates my soul. Therefore, I'm going to believe in it, and I'm just going to stick with it. And so that's what we've seen with a lot of conspiracy theorists, as far as Sandy Hook and all this kind of stuff, Boston bombing. You can't even ask them a question for the most part, you know, to question themselves, basically. Are you really, really sure? Because a lot of times what I was watching was people saying, look at this person on the news. They look like a crisis actor. Therefore, this event is fake. So I didn't really always connect those dots. I did more so at the beginning. Nowadays, I'm really detached from even looking at that kind of stuff. So,
well, here's the thing. The first time that the truth community and like Jeff C. Days and all that stuff, first time we were all exposed to something that involved like crisis actors, and I guess it might have been maybe Sandy Hook, or was it something before that? It was probably something before that. But either way, whatever it was at the time, there was all kinds of other corroborating information. And then you had these crisis actors, you know, and then people started looking up these people, and they started seeing that they're paid actors at these other gigs they have wherever they are, you know. And then as time rolled on, the hoaxes kept happening, or the events kept happening so fast that all people really had to go on was just looking at the immediate interviews in the immediate aftermath. And so people were just looking at those, and they were seeing the similarities of these more recent what they were calling crisis actors to the actual known crisis actors that were part of the Sandy hoax thing, you know. And that's why it just became like super easy for people to just auto hoax, because, you know, I guess Max Malone might have been kind of responsible for that auto hoax mentality too, if you think about it. Did you listen to Max Malone back then?
I actually was on Max Malone's last podcast on 3 different cameras, dancing with a mask on and a 9/11 was an inside job t-shirt on. Unfortunately, that video is gone, but I was definitely there, 3 different camera angles, dancing for them. So yeah, I knew that whole crowd. They knew me. That was the last time he did a live stream for multiple reasons, but he's under the he's under the monocles of basically like this religious aspect of, you know, anything that bad happens, basically the devil did it. And anything that's good in this world is basically of Jesus or of God. So we do have Dan Pratt in the chat. I would like to say, this is very important. Very important that I say this. Dan, I've been here for 4 years talking about evidence and showing you evidence, showing you videos, showing you pictures of curvature, showing you the results of the Earth being curved. You can see my channel. I'll put something in the chat if you are interested in seeing it, Dan. But what I see from you, and I've watched you for years, is you sit there and have the presupposition that the Earth is flat because you were convinced by people like Eric Dubay, Mark Sargent, Cow Patty Steer that now you think are actual shills, and still think that the movement is something real. So I have evidence, way more evidence that you have for flat Earth, that the Earth is a sphere, right? The 2 celestial points, the equatorial star trails, the sun, the moon, the lunar eclipse, the solar eclipse, all of my images from Salt Lake City over the Great Salt Lake, all of my images and videos from Lake Tahoe. So let's get that clear. You listen to me right now, Dan Pratt. I have evidence on my channel. If you don't want to go watch it, if you've never seen my stuff, if you don't have any rebukes for my stuff, then shut your fucking mouth about me, my friend.
Why does Dan have to stop? Why? He can say whatever he wants.
Because that's what he does. I agree with his First Amendment right, and that's why I agree with never going onto his chat. First of all, because he's banned me in all of his channels, or his troll channels. Is Dan Pratt now? He's reshaping the world to flat, even though it's a sphere. All this kind of shit. So he bans me, but he can come on my channel anytime. He can say, "Hey, I don't think you're right about this observation. I don't think you're right about that." But we don't see Dan around my channel. I can't be around his channel because he's a coward and he prefers his echo chamber of people that will blow smoke up his ass. But I'm a real human being with real evidence for the Earth being a sphere, Dan, and you're not able to fucking compute that, my friend.
I can't see what's going on in the chat at this moment.
He says, come say it to my face, in caps, of course, dare ya. Well, I'll tell you again that I'm a real truther, a real unbiased, objective observer of this world. And I'm telling you right now that I have more evidence for the Earth being a sphere than you will ever have evidence for anything in your life. Okay, Danny? So you can go look at my chat. I've given you a smiley face in the chat. Otherwise, you're a coward. You're an echo chamber troll, and you're perpetuating something that is actually being permused by people like Eric Dubay and Shills of the Flat Earth. So,
well, check this out. Okay. A very wise man that I know of asked a really good question recently. And he said, what's up with all these guys who are making money off, defending the globe? And instead of wasting their energy on that, why don't they take that energy and take it to the institutions, take it to the government, and tell these stupid ass flat earthers, here's your obvious evidence. Why don't they demand that those guys do that? No, instead they want to sit on the internet and make money off of, like what Simon Dan does and what, Greater Sapien does and Slice Barcane and Heath, where they just like mock,
Why don't we give Dan Pratt a chance to come onto the panel? Do you know a way of contacting him by any chance?
No,
Because
I
he could
don't,
come and tell
unfortunately.
us. Okay. I've seen your information. I've seen everyone's information. This isn't new to me. I wasn't born yesterday. I've actually been debunking this for 4 years before you were even a flat earther, bro. So if you want to ask me anything that you think that you know about the shape of the Earth, I will tell you the actual real reality of the situation, Danny. Okay? Anyway, yeah, he's going to the tough man thing where, he needs basically money for food drives for the flat earth or whatever that he probably just took and bought an Xbox for his kid or whatever. He needs money all the time, basically, from his subscribers. So he's one of those people that we're actually talking about. He is one of those losers that can't actually go and work, even though he has a full functioning body for his family, right? He'd rather try to make money off YouTube. So.
Yeah, but see, aren't these schools failing to teach people?
No. Actually, the schools are what teach the smarter individuals that have aptitudes to go into computer science or to go into rocketry or something like that, so that we can actually do this right now. There's undersea cables that me and you have no fucking clue how they work. But you know what? Thankfully, other people do, much smarter individuals than us. We can sit here and talk about the satirical side of flat Earth, probably better than them. But there's so many other smarter individuals that do put rockets and satellites up, that we get GPS from, that do lay undersea cables, that do know what they're doing. So I really enjoy that there are humans that don't just want to go back to the Stone Age, like Daniel Pratt here, and actually want to progress humanity.
But humanity is stagnating. In fact, humanity is kind of like regressing right now. The world sucks, man. Maybe flat Earth will bring people to the new technologies that are burgeoning. I mean, it opens people's minds, It's a step forward, I think. It's a step forward for like stopping the lies. If anything, a good flat earther would argue that with all the technology we got now, we're able to debunk the globe. What do you say to that?
So you guys aren't able to debunk the globe because it is the objective truth of this world. And I don't talk about objective truths that much, but it seems as though there is a collective subjective truth that does point towards a sphere through logical deductions, not inductions, not abductive reasoning, but deductions of the observations that we were supposed to do as flat earthers, but observations of reality that actually fit the globe. Everything fits the spherical model. It's absolutely amazing that people still go on and call themselves truth sayers or truth seekers, and they're saying the earth is flat with zero representation, with zero modeling, with zero quantifiability, with nothing, with zero evidence. They watched Dubé and Sargent for the most part and were convinced and have been trying to abductively fit things into places where it doesn't fit. It's just ad hoc reasoning at a certain point. So,
Yeah,
Danny boy,
but
you can make videos about me, and you may get a couple hundred views, but again, you're not saying much. You have no observations, you have no tests, you have no experimentation. You're just rhetoric. You're basically dogmatic Dell from Beyond the Imaginary Curve with about a hundredth the viewership, even though you've been around twice as long.
wait a second. Do you actually listen to what he says in his videos, man? Like, honestly, he's not like sitting there saying, specifically the earth is flat, this, that, with stupid logic or anything. What the stuff he's saying is fucking brilliant. It's like undisputable fucking facts, like,
The
it's like,
unfortunate thing about Dan is that when you have the presumption and the presupposition that the earth is flat, and you're saying that, you're underlying saying that, or you're actually saying that in the videos where you do have maybe a nugget or two of truth, you're completely disregarded, right? If you think the earth is flat, even though all of the pictures and evidence that there are, the observable evidence, the curvature that you can actually see, I just don't know what to do for you. Really, you're not any kind of truth seeker of that I know of. You're a John LeBon.
well, I mean, then see, the thing is, Eric Dubay and Conspiracy Dude and whoever else it was that got me into flat Earth, you know, yeah, they set me on the right path. But then I came up with the intangible sky argument. And I know you like to say that it's satire, and I know you like to say that it's not real. But Tim, honestly, for real, like man to man, those things up there in the sky, no one's touched them. No one can really gauge what or where they are. So when you're judging everything about the shape of the ground by these things that are literally intangible, alleged objects, you're automatically, philosophically, you're in the wrong. You see what I'm saying? And you know that
No,
makes sense, bro.
no,
I
because
know you're a
even
highly intelligent individual, and that shit makes sense to you, bro, because
here
it
comes the
does.
satire. Here comes the satire with
I'm
such
not being
serious
satirical,
talking to
man.
me as. So anyway, what's funny is that flat earthers will claim that the moon gives off a cold, putrefying, or a light. The sun, on the other hand, is quite different. It will sunburn you. You can feel it right when you step out into it, and all this kind of stuff.
Well,
This is
that's not true.
observable.
See, that's already
So,
an assumption.
as
You're
far
already
as
on assumptions there.
intangible, as
No, no,
far
you're
as
already on
intangible,
assumptions. You said you can feel
that's not an
it.
assumption.
Yeah,
That's not.
you said you can feel
Yeah,
the sun. No, no, no. You're feeling something. You don't know that it's coming from that alleged object that's
I
up there that
know
you
it's coming
see.
from the sun. I
How
know
do you
it's
know
coming from the
that?
sun
You don't really
because
know
it
that.
doesn't happen at night. Because it doesn't happen at night.
Okay, well, water's flat.
And it happens differently when the sun's at your zenith as opposed to when it's rising or when it's setting. So we know. You can be cute about it, but we know that the sun gives off heat. So the intangible argument is not
No,
correct. What it needs to be, because
technically,
really
you
we
know for
don't
a fact. No, that's
listen.
dishonest of you because you know for a fact that you cannot correlate the energy that you are feeling here with this alleged object that can never be reached that's in the sky. Yeah, they might correlate in some way, but you don't know 100% that thing really is where our brain perceives it to be. So you got to be intellectually honest and admit that the intangible argument shuts down using any skyborne object to judge the shape of the ground. You have to concede to it eventually, bro.
What do you prove to yourself that you prove to yourself by touch alone? Like a woman's beautiful breast. I mean, don't you even look at that breast? Don't you even almost taste that breast sometimes? Not just feel it with your fingers, but you're actually taking it in with more senses. So in this regard, don't you think that we can sense the sun with two senses. We can feel it and we can actually see it.
That's the error right there. Can we
It's
feel it for
tangible.
sure? Is that what you're feeling for sure? 100%. See, that's where the big jump happens. And that's how I say with utter confidence, I can shut down anything greater sapien or team skeptic or, Slice Barcane or any of these fucking cheerleader cuck boys. I can shut them down with the straight up
Okay,
intangible
what
argument.
what they will say is, have you touched a have you touched Australia? Have you touched New Zealand? Have you touched the Balkans? No,
And
but
I
you
and
do
I
believe in them?
and
You
I
do
would
believe
say
that
that
they exist?
I would say that
Because you can
I
touch them?
can touch them.
Well,
See,
how do you know that you can't touch the sun or the moon? How do you know that?
no one's done it yet, Tim.
Oh,
So
Rob, we smell them titties too. Thank you so much, man. We use all of our senses for them things. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, we do have Eugene 12 in your chat. We must actually go ahead and see what they're saying here. Dan speaks the truth. He knows God is real. Your guests will burn in hell, and those who are children of the dark do the same unless they repent. I don't want that mentality. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. Thank you that you feel that you're doing something correct in this life by believing that whole situation. But no, I'm not triggered. I was actually just reading exactly how you said that because you emphasize certain words. So the truth and the God and all that kind of stuff. So I emphasized it with you. But anyway, you know what, as an American, I believe in the Constitution. I'm somewhat libertarian in that aspect, and I agree that people have the right to say what they want to say, as long as it doesn't, infringe on some very certain rights, I suppose you could say. But
yeah,
I'll die for your right to say that I'm going to burn in hell, Eugene 12. I will die for your right to say that. Okay, so be mad at me because I don't agree with what you say, but at the same rate, I don't disagree with what you say. I just think you're being a little dogmatic about it.
have I ever asked you about how I correlated the global gynocracy in with the fact that I think the globe represents the pregnant belly of Gaia? Have I ever asked your opinion and see how much merit you think that idea might hold?
No, because I think that if it was going to be like a female, we'd be in a concave system. We'd be in cell Earth. That would be the why. But if we're in a patriarchy, it would be either a dick or some balls. That's what I'm thinking, bro.
Well, yeah, maybe, but you could also see us as on top of the woman, and the woman is Mother Earth, and she's subservient to us, and we're the ones on top of her, and we're the ones that are quote raping her and all that shit.
I consider the Earth to be a female, for sure. I consider the Earth to be Mother Earth as well. But one thing that humans don't understand about Mother Earth is that she will live on even if you fuck her up for yourself. If humans fuck it up for other animals or for themselves, Mother Earth will be right back on. 1,000 years of plastic is nothing when it comes to the blink of the eye that we are supposedly on right now. So she also swallows herself up at certain points in the ocean and other places, plate tectonics and stuff, where older rock and older earth goes back in to be recrucified, basically, in the crucible of the earth and spit back up to bring life anew. So it's beautiful. Women bring life. Yes, you need a male aspect to it for the most part, but women bring life. So I think that's why Mother Earth is Mother Earth.
Okay, all right. Well, I don't know if you get my bigger gist on that whole thing, though. I know you do, but you just don't want to talk about it.
Well, I believe that you could probably make the argument that dogs are almost our captors in a certain respect because for the most part they're treated like fucking royalty and they don't really have to do shit but not chew on your couch. So they get all kinds of good stuff for the most part. So when you look at the women aspect of the human race, culture problem. You can kind of make the argument that, there's a lot of pussy whipping happen all over the place. Men have a more of a propensity to really dig in there, and females don't seem to have that propensity, but they seem to be able to achieve a bit more off the manipulation of that propensity of the males. So in a way, I could argue for that, for sure.
I've come to, I've come to have this really dismal view of women after listening to way too much fucking MGTOW content. I don't even know why. I just do it for fun, but I have a really dystopian view of the females of the human race, especially moving forward, especially with our culture.
Unfortunately, it seems like the culture creators, for the most part, are the males, the Rothschilds, or if you look at the probable hoax of World War I, which Colbert Report just did a great series on, that he's continuing on doing. There definitely is a male aspect to how culture is created, and I must have to somewhat regard that as what I see. I always see these advertisements of women and billboards and such, and it seems like they play on the plutonic form of men. So they play on the female perfect form on them, and it's an unreachable thing for females, first off, for the most part, because we're dealing with impossible eating situations, and
they're all trannies too.
We're talking about Photoshop and all this kind of stuff. So it's impossible to literally get like that in real life, and they do strive to achieve that. But I have to almost associate that with the patriarchy that has been controlling the world, the culture creators, the cultural Marxists, if you will, to want to not only bring women into the workforce for twice the taxable income, but also make them try to achieve things that are next to impossible, basically.
I would argue that's all part of a grand matriarchal scheme, man, and that the females have always just basically allowed and doled out the administrative power to the men so that the men could build infrastructure, build what you're seeing as culture, I guess, maybe, and build these things up, and then they take it all back over. And because, just like you said, men are all white knights now. They're all blue-pilled. They're all cucked out. They're all thirsty as hell, I believe that the fact that culture shifts so fast now is purely feminine, because that's how the female mind operates. It's all scatterbrained, and whatever's trending now, this is what I want now, just now, without any kind of rational thought. And that's why all the culture is turning to shit, because the women are taking over. And I believe that the beautiful women that are put up there, I just have this view that women, for the most part, except for the random few out there, pretty much don't give a shit about most things about a man, as long as he's providing and makes them feel safe or whatever. And then maybe has like a talent so that they can find him somewhat intriguing. They don't want a totally boring guy, so they'll get a guy who can sing or play guitar, or is really good at this, or really funny, or really, something. But for the most part, they don't give a shit, and they just want you to provide. And it's all a fucking game. Their whole life is a game, and they really don't have feelings with the way that men have feelings. They're a different biological fucking entity, and it's pretty scary, bro.
They're life bringers and care bringer, and I think the opposite, actually, of women. I don't think that they naturally want to. Yes, they naturally want to manipulate almost for the betterment of their fucking offspring, dude. But that might be inherent to them. You can't even fault them almost for that.
Well, no, they're the gatekeepers to reproduction. So they're always going to get the alpha seed so that the race betters itself. But lately, not so much, because of the cucked out leftism, and because of all the forced, in immigration and stuff like that. All these things, man, it just wears down on the society. And all that compassion leads to caravans. and people getting their guns taken away via fucking shooting hoaxes. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that they're definitive shooting hoaxes. I'd just say that after seeing as much as we've seen, you see that kind of stuff, and you're just like, what? Like, just for me, I own 3 AR-15s modded out in different ways, and basically, I never watch fucking TV ever, dude. But there was one not too long ago, and I won't go too much into it, but some girl was on there the day after her friends got killed. She's talking about how she put up a book, and she said that it was actually a pretty thin book, but it deflected the bullets, the AR-15 bullets from her. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. I'll shoot a boar in the head, dude. I'll shoot all kinds of shit, dude, with an AR-15. I'm just like, a book, dude. I don't know, and it comes out on the official narrative, and then I see, with my history and sociology and psychology, I look at how they're speaking, how they're grooming this young woman, how they're leading her into the questions that they've almost been coached on for some reason. Where these two ladies that today show people, like the main girls, knew how to speak to this woman and knew her story enough to be able to make it almost believable, even though she was smiling and couldn't stop laughing at certain points when her friend died and she had an AR-15 book and all this kind of stuff. I'm just looking at it. I'm like, I can't say either way. I'm just saying this doesn't seem very believable. Sorry, but but at the same rate, it's like you'd have to expect that these people that are the top of the top that are creating these fucking events, you'd think that they would want to make them believable. So you'd think that they would have people in place that would put on a good show.
Well,
Not this
when you think
Boston
about it,
bombing kind of thing.
well, when you think about it, and you hear those kinds of stories where they are personalized, and they tell you some personal details, the people don't even really, they basically are NPCs, man. Like their stories are never all that interesting. They're just like regular humdrum people, and it's not like they were some cool, badass flat earther like Validation Boy. They're just some Joe Blow down the street with nothing interesting about them, nothing else to find about them if you research them. You know, so
Yeah.
I mean, it can like I'm empathizing with what you're saying. Like you can't decide either way. It's like one side of you is saying this is so generic and bland that this has got to be fake, but then the other side of you is saying, wait, this is so generic and bland that it's got to be real, right?
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, what is it? Danger Man 5 says people don't behave like in a movie. And I said, I agree. I mean, yeah, I know I have been in shock before. I have. And I've actually, when I was a kid, I laughed at a friend's brother's funeral, while I looked at his face. Because at the beginning, when I walked up, they said that he had clay on his face, and I laughed because I don't know, I was a kid. I thought it was funny. I didn't really understand death at the time, maybe. So when I saw the face, I laughed, and when I came out, the mom said that I had gator tears. Right? So she must have seen me. You know what gator tears mean?
Crocodile tears, like what Obama
Yeah,
does.
okay, yeah. Crocodile tears. My bad. I've never heard it since. Crocodile tears. Yep. Fake crying. Yep.
Damn.
So yeah, I don't know, man. Shock is a funny thing, but at the same rate, as a person that may be a parent someday, I couldn't imagine my 16-year-old lining up to do a CNN interview the next day. I'm not sure that I would. I don't know how I would feel about that. Not to say that every parent would feel about that. I'm not even a parent, so I don't know. But
Well, let's just assume the situations are real, the events are real, and let's just say CNN shows up with their van on the scene, and you're there, and then they tell you, "Hey, here's my phone number. Call me tomorrow." And then it's like hinted, like you're going to be on TV, you're going to make a fucking buttload of money, we're going to pay you, and then they probably pitch the idea to them that, look, I know you're in shock right now, but you need to come on right now and tell your message, tell your story to the world because it matters, and sell the people on coming there. They're right, and they're going to pay me. So fuck it, I'm going on there. That's what I think happens, bro. If these stories are real.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is we don't know. That's the whole thing about the conspiracy crowd, is that it shouldn't be such a definitive statement of yes, we didn't go to the moon or whatever. It should be like, hey, here's some evidence for that. And this is why I believe it. I mean, look, it looks fake to me. I don't
Well,
know.
don't be a hypocrite though, because when you say you got glow proof, you're like balls to the wall with it, and it's the be all end all, and that's the way it is. And too bad, so sad. So I mean, you can't like expect the conspiracy tards to have.
The globe isn't a conspiracy though. It's actual truth. Like it. I mean, maybe you do believe in the flat Earth, but like some of these flat earthers have to just step back a second and say, hey, maybe everybody in the world isn't such an idiot. The practical astronomers, the scientists, all these kinds of people. Maybe isn't that they're just seeing a picture from NASA that makes them believe that the Earth is a sphere. Maybe they actually have good evidence for it.
How many real people are out there in a position to really uphold this acceptance of the globe model, be it true or false, whatever? How many actual people are responsible for making sure that that's the official way everything goes down, and that I mean, like, it's a very small
I
handful
don't
of
know.
people. I mean,
I
it's
don't
not
know
like, because
because
you
I
say
think
like all
it's
these billions of people are not idiots by because they know the Earth's a globe. But really, like, Joe Blow doesn't know at all. You and me really don't know at all. So like, only a select
look.
handful of people
I
actually
do
know. So who
know.
who
I
sets
do
the
know.
culture? And those people that are setting the culture have somehow convinced you to think it's the
No,
right thing to do, to tell people that the system is not lying to you. But I just don't know why, man.
they have a observable system that works. This is what's most important. Is that if you can conceptualize just a sphere rotating on an axis through a star field, even if it's in your room with little LEDs, there has to be something that happens. And so when I can almost answer the globe stuff even if I don't know it, because I know just the inner workings of how it should be. And when I say something that I have to go back and look at, it is actually correct. It is correct that there are two celestial points in equatorial star trails. This kills flat Earth alone. The sun and the moon, how
No,
they rise and set and don't change in angular size throughout the day and night, kills the flat Earth, right?
but the intangible
That
sky
alone.
argument, the intangible
No.
sky argument kills those arguments.
Yeah, but there's always a defeater for an argument. But really, that defeater is about who actually believes that. I can have a defeater for flat Earth by saying flat Earth is dumb and it's ancient. And that would be like, yeah, I just won. Like an intangible argument. Flat Earth is dumb and it's ancient. No, I'm actually here with the observable empirical evidence that you can go and check for yourself, that everyone on the sphere Earth can check for themselves. That's how confident I am, because this is reality that I'm speaking of.
But the
You're
question
not
is,
speaking of reality.
what the question is that really reality that they're quote checking on? Because you don't know what those objects are, and that's how the intangible sky argument
Reality to
trumps
me
it.
is almost completely empirical. One sec. Whoops. Go ahead. But these observations are completely empirical, and that's what flat Earth at the beginning was supposed to be. It was supposed to be this observable and evident thing that, hey, you look out in the distance and you can see so far and all this stuff. And now with Soundly's evidence, with my evidence, people are now saying that they'll actually regurgitate, they'll parrot something that they've really researched for, something that could be the case on a flat Earth. That's a totally official story about like diffraction or something like that, and they'll bring it into the debate because we don't look over a flat plane and see obstruction like we do at the Great Salt Lake. That's not possible. Yes, it's possible if you have a consistent downwards sinking effect on the flat Earth, sure. But I'm just saying, as far as observations go, the Earth is curved, man. You can see it everywhere.
Well, I mean, no, you got to concede that we only get partial views from any of Soundly's footage and any of your Salt Lake footage. All we get is partial views.
I agree, and that's why I did it. My drone footage in all cardinal directions, northeast, south, and west, just to see if I could get the same kind of effect everywhere. So in my local area, it seems as though in all directions. There is evidence of what you would call the Earth being curved. So all of my evidence in Salt Lake, at least maybe Salt Lake alone on the flat Earth is just some spherical or curved, slightly curved perfectly for the curved Earth or whatever. But I've been to Lake Tahoe as well. I've been all over the place, dude. I'm not seeing what you guys are saying.
Yeah, but all you're looking at is alleged celestial objects, which you don't really know the true position of or the makeup of.
No.
We could go in circles forever on this one.
No, the stars and the sun and moon, that's fine. You want to stick your head in the sand about that? I'll go to things like Lake Tahoe, like I said, and fucking Great Salt Lake. I look in all cardinal directions on the Great Salt Lake, I see curvature. When I look in Lake Tahoe, when I'm higher up in a mountain, I can see houses and boats. But then when I have that same vantage point, but with less altitude, when I'm near the ground, I can't see those boats. I can't see those houses. I can't see as much as land that I could see when I was higher up. This is indicative of a sphere, mostly because I'm doing the observations over water. If I was doing them over land, I could say, yeah, there's topography and who the fuck knows. But we're talking about flat water, guys. We're talking about flat water, and it's not flat. It's actually level to a spherical Earth. It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess we don't have to talk about flat Earth all night, man. Like in that regard, we could debate that back and forth. So I think what we should talk about now is how do you feel about Mark Sargent leaving Flat Earth 2018 because a bigger star that was going to get more attention than him showed up?
Yeah. Obviously, I heard it right away, and logic set in right away as well. So I guess this secret guest was secret to even a person like Mark Sargent, that then ended up walking off the scene when he knew that Logan Paul was there. Earlier this year, I guess that Logan Paul or his friend or something had a video where there was some suicide forest or something. This is what I know of, but they might have been making some jokes that probably were just a little bit too much. So it was insensitive. So I think this was part of why Mark Sargent supposedly left. But of course, I do believe there's something else going on to these guys that say this consistently. Any publicity is good publicity. So as long as people are watching, even if Mark Sargent's leaving and he's mad at Robbie Davidson or whatever, they know that this is how stories get created. And they've seen it for a long time. One of my Tim Osman accounts had talked to Mark Sargent, basically, and it was a secret call between me and him. Didn't know that he was being recorded. So I ended up getting that, obviously, and I posted that link in the next Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes that he did that day, where he lied to me previously and said something differently on hers, just for one thing. But just because I posted that link, it kind of went viral. So that account very rapidly had many subscribers because they found me very quickly. It was Mark Sargent, hot off the press. And I've tried this elsewhere as well, where I did the Tim Osman, who's Tim Osman, on the Anon account, where basically they thought I got some insight into who they thought Tim Osman was in Denver, Colorado, and basically it was that poor Hornsby guy. But so I made a Anon video, and it just had the beginning of the usual Anon, the anonymous people. It then said, this guy screwed over Anonymous, and he's in the flat earth or whatever, and here's who he is. And this was their suspicion, these people that were looking for me, people like Bob from Glowbusters, Chris, True Seeker, so many people, right? So when I got word of that, I did that video. I posted something in a chat, and YouTube and all these people, hundreds of people came and saw that and started spreading it throughout the flat earth. And so when I saw that spread, I started to see IPS, I started to see Bob from Globebusters, all these people, they were doxing him, they were getting his information, they were doing criminal background checks, they were sending glitter bombs in the mail, they were calling his work, having 300 people live on a stream of flat earthers saying, "Who's Tim Osman?" basically, while saying that you should call his work, you should call his boss, you should do this and that and this. So I kind of got off on a tangent a bit, but it's something important to bring up, is that anything in the flat Earth gets parroted and perpetuated like nothing we've ever seen before. These people are in the in crowd, and anything they hear becomes the truth. So at the end of the day, the flat Earth isn't the truth. We will all come to this realization one day or another, hopefully. But until we do, we're going to have these battles as we do. So
what do you think about, I mean, so you're saying it was all staged?
Yes. As far as Mark Sargent, I'm sorry, I got off on a tangent there. Yes, Mark Sargent, I believe he wouldn't pay for a ticket within a few hours from Denver to Seattle. Probably a $400+ ticket, and also cancel his ticket before. I don't think that would happen, because old Marky lives with his mom, and these people have to be being paid to be to say, hey, we're having a flat Earth meetup. I'm going to make $60,000, $70,000, $100,000, right, on all these idiots, while you make nothing. You can come on a plane, you can pay your own hotel, all this kind of stuff. No, I'm assuming these speakers are getting some kind of kickbacks and airfare, per diem, hotels arrangements, whatever.
It's also pro wrestling, like Mark Sargent. He gets to stay true to his character, and he's going to do the whole, like, I'm going to be the guy that leaves for principle, and I'm the Christian one. And he's not quite as Christian as Rob Skiba, but he's like the second most Christian one. And he always does this whole thing about, I'm just the recruiting officer. I just get people in the door. That's all.
I like that idea, actually. That he's the.
He says
they try to. It's like the Breakfast Club of like different types of characters. So, I think you might have something to that, as far as this guy here has morals, and he has somewhat like Freemasonic, like Christian morals or something. So therefore, he is up in arms, and this creates controversy. Zulu One, you see how many people watch Zulu One, which he's been around for years, and he's a nobody. Poncho Pete clan, basically. So these kinds of things get spread about Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Hangouts, all this kind of stuff, as far as any kind of juicy details of something that didn't go. There was that one girl, I think, that you didn't like. Marmar Queen, perhaps?
No, I don't know who that is, but there's this other woman, and her name is Muff Queef.
Okay, I knew that you had an issue with her. Okay, so yeah, she had a issue at the first one, and I would have to assume that was maybe even approving grounds, but also not set up, as far as you just pissed off this idiot and she's gonna say whatever she wants to say. So maybe they learned off that or something. Things that happen at the conference might drop some more attention.
Yeah. What it was, see, Marmar Queen, all right, was she's all New Age and stuff. She's not Muslim. And then she was protesting this guy doing a Christian speech that was pro-Christian, anti-Muslim speech that this guy was making at the conference. And it was off in the side, and there was a sign apparently, and people knew this is going to be this kind of environment. So she goes in there anyways, And the thing is, she got all up in arms, but she's not even a Muslim. So it's like, was she doing it just for attention for herself, or was she doing it as part of a staged op, like you said, then even? Because there was other things going on around that one too. And remember, the Morgile might not be able to make it unless everybody chips in and buys his way and shit kind of thing. Remember all that?
Well, you know what? That happened this time, and I would almost like to see if he made it, because
there's a thumbnail of Patty hugging the Morgile at 2018. So
wow. Okay, so he did make it. I'm almost thrilled about that, truthfully, because He bought like a couple $100 car that he fixed like an oil plug or something for $8. And then it has 250,000 miles. So he's going to drive that from Florida to Denver, from Denver to Florida. And of course, he doesn't have fucking insurance or anything like that. So I was somewhat worried about him, truthfully. That's a very, very silly thing to do. And I'm sure he might be bringing something back with him too. Who knows? But yeah, that's good. That's good to see. Hopefully he did make it. But of course, all of his funds were raised by flat earthers to get Morgile because he doesn't have enough money to drive himself or fly himself to Denver ever to get there. So he said he spent $300 from Florida to Texas. So he's got to go from Texas to Denver, Denver to Texas, back to Florida. So we're talking, who's paying for this shit, dude? Thousands of dollars?
Patty, Robbie Davis, Bob Nodell. Bob Nodell, probably. Check this out. So Ed Upside Down Head, a fucking legend, a fucking icon of our times.
Oh yeah.
Joins us and says, I bet Logan got paid more than Marky Mark Ice Wahlberg, and he left. Wasn't it Mark that used to say any publicity was good? Tia Tequila, remember? And then Mr. Drobot down here says, Tia was speaking tongues on her channel recently. Can't knock her, though. She has more of a grasp on reality than most people. So, I mean.
So, yeah, I must say that I'm pretty sure Twitwit might have been the one that brought it up, or we just talked back and forth about this whole Mark Sargent situation. But I do remember that the first thing that I said was, this is about money. Mark was undermined by this guy possibly about money, and so he left. And that was my first initial thing. So Ed might have something to that. It does definitely make sense. But then again, like we say, I mean, I just did
Logan Paul was there. Logan Paul was there. So that means YouTube agents were lurking. So there was money in that bitch.
Well, yeah, then you know that this Robbie Davidson guy is, for some reason, a little bit better than at advertising than the average human being. So he's always got mainstream media there, all kinds of media there to get the most attention. He was on Denver in the morning at 6 a.m. like I had on my channel. It was basically their 30-minute broadcast was the Flat Earth International Conferences today. That was the title on YouTube for a 100,000 subscriber channel. So yes, of course, local news is sometimes boring. They don't have the most going on. Maybe the Flat Earth International Conference probably was the biggest story of all, but at the same time, going through that, it just seems like they're trying to perpetuate it. They're trying to push it in the public subconscious. And then you see people like Simon Dan, which we were talking about earlier, and Wolfie620, great information, great observations, great experimentation, everything. But it seems like the globe debunkers might be getting a bit of a head on the steam as far as perpetuating just the idea. It doesn't matter if someone believes it or not. There's going to be stragglers on the way, for sure, having intangible arguments, for sure. But as far as the rest of humanity with any kind of logic or reasoning, they're going to continue to believe that the Earth is a sphere, and unfortunately, it will be just mashed into their brain for whatever they were wanting to do with this. We'll see.
You know, you're right. It's never going to go away, right? We're not going to defeat the system. So, maybe my flat earth conservative approach really, really, truly is the best way to be. If you're going to be a flat earther, that is.
It is, because if flat earth brings you happiness in life, if it brings you contentment, if it brings you a better life in any way, just like religion or any kind of other substantial axiomatic belief, I would have, as your doctor, Timothy Osman, PhD, I would actually probably tell you to go along with it almost. Mostly if it's conservative. If you don't go and ruin your family, your friends, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, or whatever, what have you, then it's probably not a harmful idea. It's not a harmful idea to anybody that the Earth is a sphere. As far as most of humanity, that idea is very nullified as far as any kind of axiomatic belief. You might ask somebody in what the Earth's shape is, and they might say the Earth is a sphere, but for about 98% of humanity, they have no way of justifying that. So I think maybe flat Earth is brought up to try to maybe have education understand that, yes, you can point things in a classroom, you can have a representation, you can show pictures of things, but at the same time, the human mind actually wants justification for that, so that when somebody on the street comes up and tries to tell your kid that the Earth is flat, well, God damn it, you will understand all of the arguments that they have. You'll understand that they're arguing from ignorance. You'll understand how to tell your child the correct way, how to observe the world. So it's interesting.
So would it be fair to say that your motive in sticking around for 3 years, or one of your main motives, just really is the betterment of humanity and just, preventing people from being what you would call ignorant?
Well, essentially, I suppose you could say that in one aspect, because at the beginning of this whole truth-seeking environment that I was in, it was about telling people, proselytizing to people, that 9/11 and other things are not as they seem, which they don't still seem to be, as the official story says to me. So it still seems a worthy cause maybe to try to let people know of that. But at the same time, there's this whole overarching aspect of kind of trying to really proselytize to people and get angry with them if they don't see that Building 7 doesn't make any sense, or that a lot of the 9/11 story seems to be very fishy. If they're not apt to that, then they're just not really somebody that you even want to bring into the situation or the conversation. And that's kind of what where flat Earth falls on its face, is you're trying to bring people that are most likely very mainstream into something that
this is definitely only for this is only for conspiracy theorists. Flat Earth is only for people that have been in this for like 10 plus years. It really is. So I really don't like it that all these newcomers and all these weird normies with all these fucking weird personalities and agendas and shit come in here. They're just like, yeah, flat Earth, flat Earth. It's like, so in your opinion, if it's all done for the well-being and for the betterment of mankind, then what's more of a threat to that? Your Carly Sunshine or your Nathan Oakley or your Anthony Riley?
Yeah, sorry, I was just reading a very interesting
well, did you hear my question?
Private chat from Ed Upside Down Head. Please do say that real quick in summary again.
Oh, what I was just saying?
Please,
okay.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. No, I was getting at, since you're doing all this, since that's what drives you, is for the betterment of mankind, then what would you consider more of a threat to that, to being again, to, doing any damage to what you are doing? More of a threat, would it be your Carly Sunshine? Would it be your Patty Steer, your Carly Sunshine, or would it be your Anthony Riley or your Nathan Oakley?
Ultimately, I've come to the conclusion that because of such psyops as the flat Earth, because of such mentality of, oh, I'm unbiased, though they fall for conspiratorial bias on every level, I've come to the conclusion that things are going to stay the way that they are. I've obviously made a decent life for myself, but I would like to help humanity as far as like, hey, let's try to get not to a utopian society, but more towards something that makes more sense for everybody on Earth. We have the scientific know-how to be able to feed everybody on Earth, to be able to live more sustainably, to be able to
don't go into white nationalism, bro.
I'm not about that at all. Yeah.
I know. I'm just playing, bro. I'm just fucking around. Sorry.
I'm just saying, unfortunately, there are culture creators, man. There are people that have gone beyond the need for money. Money is only to them an aspect of getting more power. And unfortunately, that power leads to wanting more power. And it's not necessarily about getting more money. It's about the acquisition of the public mentality, the public subconscious, to be happy with their, I hate to say it, quote unquote, enslavement, but
Well,
that is
yeah,
what's happened.
that's why, you know, I forget what I heard. I think I heard it on Red Ice TV. They were talking about how Twitter loses millions every year in its operation and always has. Same with YouTube and all this shit. It costs them millions, but they get to control it, and that's all they really want. So they're willing to spend money to play games with our social media and play games with our minds as a society. So it costs them millions to have YouTube. You know,
What's crazy is a lot of things theorists think that they can know now. But as far as things like, say, the JF Kennedy assassination, which has been a conspiracy for over 50 years, not much is known now. There are many different theories, and many different theories about 9/11 as well. So people have to understand that what they're doing essentially is looking at all sides of the stories and trying to disseminate for themselves and not being hooked on the conspiratorial aspect or the mainstream aspect of it. That's why I find myself always in the middle. And it's kind of a funny place to be, where I try to understand the flat earthers, but or the conspiracy theories, but also understand the other side, where they're taking their epistemic beliefs basically on textbooks and the mainstream media, whichever mainstream media have you that they like. If they like Fox, or if they like CNN or MSNBC, that's what they'll be. So they're taking their worldview, their axioms are coming from this. And unfortunately, I'm left in the middle, where I'm like, I'm open for everything, guys. I'm open for the Earth being flat. I'm open for the Earth being concave or spherical or triangle or whatever. But I'm really, at the end of the day, trying to be truthful to myself, truthful to how I speak to people. And what I see is that there's more evidence for a sphere.
you're trying to bridge the gap for the normies.
I always do. I bridge a gap for everyone, man.
But is that really the case? Don't you find yourself to be rather, eclectic and hidden? You know,
Yeah. I continue to try to be hidden, but also somewhat combative, somewhat adversarial, because I want people to come and challenge me. I want a flat earther to come challenge me, not about some intangible argument as if he proves every epistemic belief on things that he touches, but somebody that comes to me and says, "Hey, man, I got some evidence that you cannot disprove, bro, and it's about the flat earth. I've seen it all. No, everything's about how they can't see too far and still see obstruction, or it's like, you guys, I'm not going to pretend like you're a flat earther. I'll pretend. Look, I'm pretending like you're a flat earther right now. Okay, but look, dude, this is a serious situation. I think that you can think on a philosophical level. Do you want to tell people lies for years, or do you want to tell people the truth? And the thing is it doesn't really matter how many people come and visit me or come to my channel or anything, because I'm not making anything off of it. I'm not making any monetary gain. I don't think you are as well. We're one of the very, very few at this point, bro. But at the same time, I want to have truthful information. This is what I was here for, man. Everything that I say is empirical, as in you could go and test it yourself with your eyeballs.
Yeah, but see, I would argue that empiricism involves more than one sense. So, and
well,
that's why.
It can, but you're not going to smell the sun. You're not going to smell fucking Polaris. Let's be real.
Let's go down that rabbit hole. You're not going to smell the sun. You're not going to taste it. You're not going to hear it. You're going to see it, yes, but then you say you're going to feel it, but that's where the great divide is. That's where the intangible sky argument is. You don't know what you're feeling. You can't prove that the two are correlated. So
I
you
could
can't feel the sun,
prove to any
And it's
rational
like,
human being that when the sun is up, you can get a certain type of EMF, but when the sun is down, you're not going to get as much or nearly as much or any of that same EMF. So when that sun comes up every single day, we have something to test on. We have something that can sunburn us. When you go out at night and you sleep outside at night bare naked, you will not get anything that has any resemblance of the feeling of the sun, of the sunburn of the sun, of anything of the sun. But when the sun comes up and you stay out for another 12 hours, you're going to get fucking burnt as far as if it's summer or winter or not.
yeah, but that's like saying
this is something evident.
Well,
it's
that's
self-evident.
That's like saying that the exhaust fumes that come out of the tailpipe of the car are actually the car itself. See what I'm saying?
No, it's not at all. That's a complete non sequitur.
No, totally. It's the exact same thing. Those things that you're feeling that you say are from an object.
Yeah.
You can't
It's
prove
the
that they're from an
effect.
object.
It's the effect of that object, just as if the car is the effect, the engine is the effect that has the tailpipe exhaust. That's the effect of the engine actually being in function. So the effect of the sun being in function is that you can see it and you can feel it. And that is two major empirical notes that everyone, that's why it's empirical, is that everyone can. So this whole intangible argument, as cute as and satirical as you may think it is, it's not, because it's not a defeater, it's a self-defeater. It's not any kind of philosophical argument.
Yes, it is, because there's still a divide. There's still that divide that you cannot get past.
You can feel it and you can see it.
No.
But then I ask you, how many things do you prove to yourself that you are not just feeling and seeing?
Okay, so go to Universal Studios or Disneyland and go right on their little 3D full immersion sensory rides. We don't know what's really happening. You know, they'll shoot a hologram at your eyes.
We do that.
See it.
We do.
Then they'll spray you with liquids, and you'll think that object was
because what's
there.
funny? No, because what's funny is when you say go on this Universal ride or whatever, you're saying that you presuppositionally believe that's a ride. It has enjoyment as far as some kind of spraying nozzle or some kind of a movement object where you feel things and whatever. Yeah, but you know what's happening. As far as the sun, you also know what's happening. You see something.
Well, no, you don't, because we can't get there. That's the problem.
All your life, you feel and see the sun. All your life, unless you're a hermit or you live in Antarctica or something like that, you feel and you see that beautiful sun.
You see that intangible alleged object your whole life. Yes, you do.
But intangibility is not an argument for anything else in your vocabulary.
It makes perfect sense. Those objects might not be objects at all. So when you're using that whole arena of information to prove an idea that correlates, or an idea that has nothing really technically to do with that stuff, then
you're appealing.
It's ridiculous, man.
You're appealing to metaphysics. And unfortunately, we don't have any examples of physical objects here that we can see, smell, touch, taste, or whatever that give off these kinds of effects, as far as sensory effects, as far as what we can feel in our skin. So we don't have anything metaphysical in our existence. So we would almost have to presuppose with our reality that we have right now that it is a physical object, that it is something that is very hot, that emits some kind of EMF, because we can test that. So there's no argument to be had as far as the intangible argument. As cute as it is, as satirical as it is, we should move on.
All right, we can move on. We've been joined in my chat by Jed Skeptic Media, and we've been joined by Rusted Soul, coming back blast from the past. Rusted Soul is in my chat. Welcome. And we've got Chris Topher, one of your favorites, right? Chris Topher.
You know, I've had a lot of flat earth trolls in the past, and a lot of people that were exceptionally hatred towards me. But he's definitely one of them, and I have nothing bad to say about him. We all have our beliefs, And some people have more justified beliefs than others. And we can get into what knowledge means in the English language, and what belief means in the English language, and what knowing something or what thinking something means in the English language. Because for the most part, we don't really understand what that means. Because our language isn't very good at that. It's not very good at explaining that. A lot of people think that they can know things through scientific textbooks without believing them. And they have a really far disconnect between philosophy and epistemology and different subjects. So if you're going to know something, essentially, in my mind, and other people will philosophically debate me against this, but if you know something, you also believe it. If you know the earth is flat, and I ask you, do you believe the earth is flat? It's a yes or no question. It's not, no, I know it. It's, yes, I do believe it. I do believe the earth is a sphere, as a sphere earther. I also would say that I epistemologically know that the earth is a sphere, and I would tell you why I have a justified belief in that regard. But a lot of people get mixed up in the minutia of this, and it's a trickery in and of itself of the elite.
All right. So, speaking of textbook science cucks, all right. Speaking of on that subject, now that we're on that subject, let me ask your opinion. Did you happen to see my latest video? You probably didn't, but did you happen to see it? It's called Wave Particle Duality as a Hoax.
I'll say that I saw the thumbnail, but didn't watch it, but go ahead.
Well, in the video, I present a very simple concept. You know, Team Skeptic and all these other fucking people out there, they love talking about the double slit experiment and how, you know, particles can become waves and all this bullshit, you know. And you think about it, it's like, no, to do any of that, you have to isolate a particle and then analyze the behavior of that one particle. But here's the problem with that. We live in a physical world where it's surrounded by matter. So every piece of matter, every single particle.
Oh, it's physical. What about the sun? Is it physical or is it metaphysical? Sorry, I have to interrupt you. We live in a physical world. Go ahead. Is the sun, is it metaphysical or physical? I'm sorry.
We don't know. It's out of our realm.
All right, we don't live in a physical world because every day the sun comes up and that's metaphysical, possibly. So we don't live in it. Okay, go ahead.
Anyways, so we live in that. So every single particle is connected to another particle. So in other words, no particle can be isolated, and therefore no particle can be proven to jump from particle form to energy wave form, because it would have to remain finite, which then makes it a paradox, because then it's just an expanded particle. And that's why the double slit doesn't prove anything, and it's just a hoax.
Well, it must prove something to some people, and that's what we must understand, is that an experiment... Hold on. Let me expand into that. The Cavendish, to some people, proves gravity. Some people it doesn't. The double slit, to me and you, I'm going to be truthful and say that I don't... I've heard many different aspects of it. Some of the religious say that it disproves evolution. Some people say it disproves the speed of light. Some people say it disproves the shape of the earth, just like entropy and the second law of thermodynamics. So the point is that I don't really know. I'm not going to say either way, but some people will use these things that are official narrative stuff to prove they're very unofficial, conspiratorial.
Well, when you start getting into wave particle duality, you start getting into simulation theory. That's really like, you know, what it's about. It's about like Matrix and the possibility of what could be, and are we living in some kind of simulation where things are simultaneously in this physical particle realm while simultaneously existing in an alternate universe of energy particle or wave energy waves, stuff like that, you know. And it's all like hocus pocus, and it's all just imagination. And yeah, people do use that, but the problem, like I said, let me reiterate one more time. It's just that, you know, you can't isolate a single particle. The only way you could isolate a particle would be inside of a vacuum, and there's no such thing as a perfect vacuum. So right there, it's a paradox. But let's just pretend there was a vacuum. You know, to isolate a single particle into a vacuum so that you could then test it and measure it and prove it does A, B, C, or D. To do that, you have to use a force. And if, according to quantum physics, force is energy, and all forces require the use of physical matter, particles, energy, same thing, or whatever. They require that. That's what the quantum says. So if that's true, then you're not isolating the particle, because you're using a force to put that particle into a state of isolation, which you can't do. It's all a paradox. There's no such thing as a isolated particle, And this is like a big deal because everybody's all about this fucking double slit lately. It's making a big comeback because it gels really well with the simulation theory crap. So I'm just kind of like taking a stand against it and exposing the fact that like particles do not become waves of energy. If they do, then all those are like stretched out particles. That's all it is.
The thing is I don't have any evidence to tell you that is true. So a lot of this mystery behind the spherical Earth, unfortunately, lies behind things like spectroscopy, where, hey, you're going to spend a lot of money to see what the composition of stars are. Probably not, but we have a select few people that will, and they've documented it, and you can read about it. Or things like advanced stellography, as far as nebulas and stuff like that. As far as the average Joe, they don't have the funds to do that, right? But a select few people do. As far as getting beyond 200,000 feet with a camera that's rectilinear or any other, or just getting beyond 200,000 feet, well, we don't have the money to do that. Me, VB, Flat Earth probably, Globe Earth debunkers probably. We probably don't have the money for that. But there are a select few people that do, right? There's NASA, and there are actually a lot of different agencies that can supposedly go to space. There are a lot of different satellites, all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying, as far as observationally, we're very limited, right? So a lot of the more intricate aspects of the Big Bang, parallax, so many different things, retrograde motion of Mars or different planets, is only going to be done by instruments that are very fine-tuned that we can't afford, unfortunately. Is that part of the conspiracy? I personally don't think so. But I think that I've tried to exemplify the things that we can do as far as what we have, just logistically, as far as money-wise, as far as empiricism-wise, how much, just everything, man. So I've been here,
and you take your drones up over the Salt Lake. That's totally fucking flat, And you're just like, look, there's your curve.
Except when you raise higher, you start to see mountains that were being obstructed by the flat water. That's what's really exceptional. Even Antonio Subirats, the narcissist, couldn't really come up with anything clever with that, because you can't. And you know what? I would have poetically or satirically, and I have tried before, pitch the flat Earth idea, but with what I know, I can't even do it, dude. I can't even honestly or even satirically or jokingly do it, because nothing works, man. I'm sorry. Sorry.
No way, bro. All you're ever going to get is partial views. You're never going to get that full Big Daddy picture. That's really going to be the real empirical, real deal. And I don't even know if that would really be empirical. I don't even think it would. I think I'd have to go up there and see for myself.
If you sent Himawari satellite, if you had $1 billion and you were the one to say, hey, man, I think the Earth is flat. I want to prove it for myself. Hey, guys, I'm going to build a satellite, and I'm going to go to Lagrange point 1 or 2 or wherever. And I want actual images with this kind of camera, without this kind of compositing, or, and then you will really learn about the RGB and all this kind of stuff. But I'm just saying, if you sent it up yourself and you were getting images from your own shit that you spent 200 million on or whatever, would you at that point be like, God damn, what I just did was beautiful, man. This is really gorgeous. Like, this is amazing.
If I got up and high enough and was able to pull away enough and see that as actually a spherical fucking ball, then I'd totally concede, man. But it's just not going to happen. And NASA can't do it neither. And they have the money to do it, and they can't do it.
And I think that's the trials and tribulations of the Timothy Osman channel, is that I'm trying to tell you just is that me and VB and most people in this situation do not have the kind of money to send up anything like that. So we can do some observations from the ground as far as the equatorial star trails, the two celestial points, all this, the circumpolar stars, all this kind of stuff. We can. The sun and the moon and how it's projected on the spherical Earth. We can look at the solar and lunar eclipses, how it's projected on the spherical Earth. And that's about it we can do. And so if anybody has anything else where they think they see too far, when there's all this kind of refraction, crazy effects, Fata Morgana effects going on, then that's fine. Like, sure, that proves flat Earth to you. But I'm being serious about this. People that are real true seekers come and talk to me about this if they have questions. Because some will be confused by Morgul about Venus and Mercury being seen at, midnight or 2 a.m. in the morning, but it does not. That if you said that to me and you said, "Hey, look, this," I would say, "Wow, that debunk, that doesn't work at all." But it's all about misconception. It's about misconstruing everything so that they can lead you down the garden path, basically.
No, it's all about accepting your partial images to represent the entire globe, which we never see. So,
Well, that's why I'm very specific with my words. Is that when I do north, east, south, west, each cardinal direction observations, and I'm seeing curvature in all directions.
Yeah, but
Well,
still doesn't see the
that
whole
doesn't
ball.
mean that whole Earth. No, that doesn't mean that. No, not at all. But when I see that and other people see that and they actually start doing these observations, if it starts to corroborate all over the spherical Earth, then just like the star trails, the sun, the moon, the solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, the angular size of the sun and the sun, moon rising and setting, all these different things that match up towards the spherical model, maybe we can kill this conversation, but we won't, because there are charlatans like Robbie Davidson that know that they can make a lot of money off people that have an idea. So
let's just go bigger. Let's go a lot bigger, and let's say beyond the whole fact that you think flat Earth is a psyop. Okay, let's just take that for granted, and let's just go a little bit bigger and say, what's really pushing the entire concept of having this new group of people out there that slowly festers and sometimes grows, sometimes shrinks, whatever it may be. But this group of people out there like myself that are so conspiratarded, that like we just completely dismiss all of mainstream science and stuff like that in the name of God, like religiously and stuff like that. Is there some kind of like humanistic drive behind that? Is there some kind of like capitalist drive behind that? Or is there some kind of, do you get what I'm saying? What's really pushing the formation of this sector of society, this extremist sector,
Yeah, religious fundamentalism, because what they deem scientism is an aspect of something that completely disregards and disagrees with their belief.
Religious fundyism 10 years ago wasn't anything like this. It was Bible study and close-knit family. Now it's been replaced by internet conspiracy community. So, I mean, like, what's that about?
Well, maybe that's natural, because maybe real life trolling has gone on to internet trolling. So this is just maybe a
You're saying that people that are doing a Bible study are trolling?
No. I'm saying that a person like me back in the 70s without the internet would be real life trolling people, right? So there's going to be real life trolls that end up trolls on the internet. There's going to be religious people and fundamentalist religious people, extremist fundamentalist religious people that end up on the internet. The internet is just a way to express ideas in a way that humanity couldn't before. So that's why we see the Kent Hovens, the Kent Hams, the amazing amount of dissent even against them. And that's what's great about life, is that we don't all agree on the same thing. You might agree on a creator or a flat earth, but I don't agree on that as far as any kind of man-made perceptual idea of a creator or a god, and a man-made perception of the earth being flat without any kind of observational evidence. So that's what I'm saying. Everybody has all kinds of ideas. The internet has changed that, as far as anonymity.
Who would be behind something like that? Who would be behind the formation of these fundies, these new age computer fundy trolls?
It's not that someone's behind it. It's that maybe somebody that was thinking about the technocracy back in the 70s or the 80s, and the formation that was to come, knew that people were going to ideally have ideologies and different idealistic beliefs that they were going to pitch no matter what. We have, maybe you're going to debate on 6+ billion people, but we got a lot of people with different ideas. And when you get them connected together, you're going to have all kinds of amalgamations of different ideas. So that's what we see on the internet. And sometimes different ideas are proliferated in questionable ways, such as the flat earth, or other psyops, such as possibly the plane crash in Asia.
Aren't you worried that by shutting down flat earth, which is, partially your life goal on YouTube, gotta admit, aren't you afraid that by doing that in 25 years from now, this kind of a conversation that we're having right here is like straight up 1984 Winston Smith fucking, secret, you can't do it because you thought crime and shit,
I want people to notice that, because I noticed that I had a very conspiratorial bias. Maybe I was swayed in a certain way because of a certain situation or whatever. But because I went down that path, I felt it necessary to try to express my ideas and my previous knowledge towards people that might be going through something similar. So as far as the flat earth, this is something different in so many ways. It's so fundamental. It's so axiomatic, compared to Charlie Hebdo. Do you believe that someone shot a AK-47 with no recoil that hit a guy's head that did not do any kind of movement, that then just laid there and has video of that? Maybe you do. I'm just saying. There's different regards of this, and unfortunately, when I see most of the conspiratorial realm, I see them going equally as far as the mainstream realm, as far as I believe the official story of 19 box cutter people on 9/11. That mentality will bring about as much change as somebody saying that mentality will bring more change than somebody saying that 9/11 was an inside job, as far as no planes, no one died, all that kind of stuff.
As far as conspiracy theories go, for Tim Osman, which ones are you still advocating for? Which ones do you think people need to understand? Like, what are the big three that you will judge whether or not they're ready to talk to you in a conversation? What are the big three things that you can run by someone to see where they're at?
It's a good question. I don't litmus test people personally, but my big three would definitely be 9/11. The 9/11 official story, if you haven't really fully investigated it, and that means going to the far deeps reach of seeing the no planes the no one died, all the way in between the official story, everything. If you saw all that and thought the official story is more correct than everything, that's fine. But as far as Boston bombing, there are some really bad conspiracy theorists, such as David Weiss, a flat earth shill, and PK Truth from Australia, that did a very, very good expose on the Boston bombing.
Both Jewish? No? Oh, maybe not. I don't know.
I would maybe David Weiss is, maybe, but PK Truth is probably most likely not. I'll tell you that. But he's been shut down and gotten in some trouble for some of the things that he said in Australia. Actually,
I used to watch all of PK's videos. You know, the brown cow and all that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You know them. Okay.
Yeah. But a lot of that stuff really, I mean, I feel like he exposed the living shit out of the Boston bombing. Did he not? I mean,
the Boston bombing, I will say, for anybody who is on the mainstream side, to just go and watch David. Look, David Weiss is ridiculous when it comes to flat Earth. PK Truth is ridiculous towards a lot of things. But as for a lot of people, they have nuggets of truth. So there was a show called Caravan to Midnight. That stream was removed. There was a Caravan to Midnight 1 and 2 with David Weiss and PK Truth about Boston bombing. There's a lot of things that I would like people that have open-minded mentalities to go and see, because this isn't somebody saying this is my subjective idea of what has happened. This is an event that there were a lot of cameras at, there were a lot of videos at, there were a lot of interesting things that happened at.
Yep, there was clocks involved.
And you can analyze it. You can analyze what the conspiracy theorists are saying. What I know about conspiracy theorists is they're going to look through a fine-tuned comb. And a lot of times, I know that they're going to be thrown off by agent provocateurs, they're going to be thrown off by their own conspiratorial bias. But sometimes you look at some things and you say, what in the fuck, dude? And Boston bombing is one of them. 9/11 is another one. As far as Sandy Hook, if you would have asked me 6 years or 5 years ago or whatever, I would have said for sure. Right now, it's not as solid as those two. Those two are suspicious. I want people on my channel to just go look at some of the things I'm saying, and you can tell me I'm an idiot. I don't care. I'm just saying some of those things look really interesting. Those are real life photography and videos, the Boston bombing and of 9/11. And it's not even about the photography at 9/11. It's about everything that has come after it, who gained, and so much more. So,
I mean, what about any other next level conspiracies? You know, what about any other next level things, like crazy Hans Wormhat level shit?
I think I'm not down with that. He called me a female to male transsexual.
Yeah, he does it to everybody.
Well, last time I checked, man, as far as like my epistemology of my body and all this kind of stuff, I was born a 10.5-pound male through C-section, about 24 hours. And that's what I was told. And then I grew up as a male my whole life. And I could tell you about that, but I don't need to. But I'm just saying, as far as that accusation from those kinds of people, when I start getting those things where I'm a shill, I'm a CIA, FBI, I'm a female, all that kind of stuff, where dude, like you've grown up, dude, like you know, it's like if I told you that, you'd be like, oh, go fuck yourself, dude. Come on.
Yeah,
you know?
I know, but I mean, I wasn't talking about that. I wasn't talking about him specifically. I'm just saying like that genre of conspiracies. Like, what else are you willing to like say you know that you find some merit in Because I know that I feel like you're conflicted. Like you're down with the Boston hoax, you're down with Sandy hoax, you're down with 9/11,
No,
but then you got
I'm
these
not
other.
down with I'm not down with Sandy hoax, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because I have no evidence that event didn't happen that day. What I do have evidence of is conspiracy theorists running what I would take an Adobe Photoshop if I want to trick you of a line of people going through a firehouse, going out. If I want to take that into Photoshop and reverse that and do that to you and say, hey, look at these people, they're doing something that it doesn't make any sense, and you look at it that as a conspiracy. Oh, dude, case closed. Fuck you. That's bullshit. I'm just saying a funny thing happened on the way to the moon. All these different things, when you go back and you look at them with a fine-tooth comb, oh, you have a secret NASA video that wasn't released before? No, actually, that was released, as well as the light on edition of what you're trying to pitch as well. So you start looking at conspiracy theorists trying to trick people for some reason,
Yeah,
whatever
but
reason.
okay. What about have you gone over no planes theory with a fine tooth comb like that? And what are your findings?
I don't like no planes.
Why?
For several reasons. Because first off, if it happened in Salt Lake City, United States, 2001, they could do no planes. But as far as New York, I feel like that's a implausible situation where they had no planes, but there were a lot of people on the ground. There were a lot of people that continued to tell the story. There were also many different camera angles of what looks like planes. So I have a hard time with that one.
So September Clues is just garbage to you?
Yeah, it is. It's
Really?
complete disinfo. Yeah.
How about 9/11 the Great Psy Opera?
That might be one that I might not have actually seen.
It was the weird guy, and he would have like 20-minute interludes where he would play his guitar and shit.
Nope.
It was just
Didn't see
dreadful.
that.
Oh man,
Didn't see that.
he had a 6-part episode, and he was doing a CGI breakdown of how they could have used CGI on TV live, basically, and he shows how you can overlay all the images and stuff. And
Yeah,
I think
there was a documentary, I think maybe that was said some clues about how there was a Wikipedia or a Craigslist guy that wanted to a Craigslist guy that was advertising for basically live kind of like animation kind of shit. So then they had the helicopter, and then they basically one of their biggest evidences is the nose out, the second plane nose out, which look, it's on video. I mean, I have issues with it, but as far as a piece of straw being pushed through a telephone pole in a tornado, these kinds of natural phenomena happen with great forces. So I have nothing personally to compare though that size of airplane into that size of building with that amount of inertia. I don't have any other examples of that. So I don't know, man. The story doesn't match up though. That's the point.
I'm just like so far gone, man, that I'm like no planes, 100%. I think that was all just TV magic.
The problem is the problem is that you could maybe. This is the whole thing. It's a whole ethical question. What are we doing here? Are we trying to convert people to what we believe in? Are we trying to proselytize to people? Hey, this doesn't seem to make sense to me. Therefore, maybe I can convince you to it not make sense to you as well. And then you can look at video and images and whatever. to convince you. What's that even for? Like, there's a select group of people that believe there's no planes. There's a select group of people that believe that there was energy weapons. That's happening in California as well. All kinds of different theories. The unfortunate thing is that the conspiracy theorists think that he can change something on the mainstream media platform like YouTube or wherever. It's just not going to happen. You might get a few tidbits or nuggets out to some people, but as far as the culture creators, they have enough money to fucking silence or overpower or take over a company or anything. So we think that we have any kind of power, but power is with playing the system correctly. That's what the power is. Not complaining about the system, but playing it correctly.
I don't know what to say to that other than I disagree in some way.
If you don't play it correctly, then you're going to suffer. And that's
Well,
the thing.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's the thing. It's like we are in this system, no matter if you like it or not. The petrodollar, the monetary system, the debt-based society that we're in right now. That we're just in it, dude. And talking about it doesn't change it. Succeeding in it does change it to a certain regard. You're going to still have to pay, property tax or whatever to keep your shit going. I'm just saying, if you get ahead of it, it's much better than complaining about it, because the system is able to be won. It is a game. You can win it to whatever regard that you want to, as long as you want to work as hard as you want to. But and that's good. And that's good because nobody has an antithesis. I'm a person that's been around for a long time saying about the resource-based economy. I love to be able to just give all that I have to basically live sustainably, happily, in community-based systems, to where the whole world could be sustainable. We have the equipment that's science to be sustainable, but unfortunately, the culture creators want us to do something else. And so there's going to be a worry about climate change. There's going to be a worry about too many people. There's going to be a worry about all this kind of stuff, because we live in a society where there's too much information at our fingertips to not deny it. At the start, they could just fucking kill a large percentage of people without anybody knowing at all, or have a justified reason, such as World War I or World War II, to kill millions of people. Iraq War, Afghani War, millions of people dead. For what? Something that might have not been what we think that it is. That's the whole point. It's the implications therein.
I believe that if wars really are real, which I have a tendency to believe that there's maybe some hoaxery going on there in some way, shape, or form, but whatever. Like even if that's true and all these millions of people are dying in all these wars, like there is some direct reason. It's not just like, well, let's just go kill all them and then sort it out later. No, it's like, those killings are done as a direct part of a direct plan with a specific agenda. So, I mean, and it usually involves land or resources, like you said. So, we are enjoying the resources, but that's the dark side of where some of this shit comes from, I guess. And it's like, do you even want to accept the reality that that's what war is really all about? Or is it easier to say that maybe war is not even what we think it is? And I don't really want to even get on.
The fortunate thing about society now is that, yes, there may be some robber barons, there may be some people that have wealths of millions of people combined. But at the same time, that wealth means nothing without us actually here. So without our progress in civilization, as far as advancements in technological, medical, any of that kind of stuff, those motherfuckers will not do shit. They will, if they were the only ones here, those very select few people of privileged individuals in the world, they know they would be done. The Earth would gobble us up and we would be done. So as far as any kind of human advancement, they need us to think that we're just in a society where, hey, it's free, it's capitalism, hey, whatever, we're free. And so they need
except for
us
when
more
it
than
comes
we
to,
need them.
well, except, it's free except for when it comes to things like truly getting your own resources, or going to Antarctica, or going to space yourself, or they got all that covered. You're not really allowed to do that, so it's not all that free, because if you're thinking capitalism, well, shit, I'm going to save up my money and I'm going to go get a boat and I'm going to go find some island and I'm going to take all the resources from there and I'm going to be rich. Well, they just won't let you. That's just not how it goes, so there's like this
Well,
fine limit.
most of the world has territories, and that's respectable, at least by now. With our advancement of being able to fly over stuff and being able to boat over stuff, we should have somewhat of territories set by now. But as far as Antarctica, I really believe if Elon Musk wanted to go and just map the whole thing, if he was a flat earther or something, if he wanted to go and map the whole thing, I think he definitely could. I don't think it's an impossibility. This Antarctica is some kind of a guarded area. Uh, it may be set out as that, but again, this is set out as that by a person of the military, person of the highest regard of the naval military, where what do they have, some kind of a mind of their own at that time? No, they probably were under some kind of a direction. This is the highest person of the military to discover the northern hemisphere, the northern geographic point, as well as the southern geographic point. This guy spent many years doing this. All I would expect from him, if this was kind of conspiracy, was a lie. Everything would be a lie.
We don't know. The Antarctic Treaty is there, so that's how they protect it. I mean, we don't know, man. We just don't know.
Well, unfortunately for flat Earth, there's a 24-hour sun, and basically nothing works on a flat Earth conception. Works better on an oblique Mercator map, but as far as anything like a azimuthal equidistant map, the sun in the southern hemisphere has to travel twice as fast in the southern hemisphere summer to cover twice the land. Us people in the northern and southern hemisphere would see the sun travel twice as fast, and they wouldn't get as much sunlight as they would on a spherical Earth. There is so much that really would deductively prove to a rational human being that the Earth is a sphere, and really nothing as far as conspiracy that would lead one to believe that the Earth is flat, unfortunately.
Well, that's your opinion, and on that note, I guess we should wrap it up. What do you think, bro?
We should. This was a great show, man. I appreciate you let me come on, and yeah, it was, as an exchange of ideas. Hopefully, other flat Earth channels can understand that VB supposedly believes in the flat Earth. I'll give him that. I'll grant him that. And he has for a long time. And I've believed in the spherical Earth very greatly after I learned of the flat Earth afterwards. So we can come on. He allows me on his channel. He gives me the link to where I could porn bomb him. I could kick him off of his own channel on his own chat, say whatever I wanted to for 5 minutes, but he knows to trust me enough because I don't do that. I've been proposed to do that by many people, but even a flat earther can invite me on, and I'll respect him enough to not do that to him. and you can watch 20 or 30 different dogmatic delve beyond the imaginary curve, where I came on and spoke for 5 minutes and didn't show anything as other people show. So hopefully maybe people can understand that I come on to talk and share my ideas, and if you didn't want to hear my ideas, you wouldn't have me on your show. So I appreciate you having me on, buddy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh no.
Reverb.
Fucking A, man. All right, yeah. I heard everything you said. Sorry, I was like literally in the middle of transitioning between the two fucking things here. Yeah,
No,
it was
man.
excellent. It was an excellent this is what it's all about, having all these people up in here. We had no love for Marky Mark, did we, bro?
No. Most.
Damn.
Thanks, man.
Okay.
I'll catch you soon.
Thanks for coming on, bro.
Later, man.
Later. All right, guys. Vampirial Abyss says all of you suck. But he says this chat's lame as fuck. Too bad. Too bad. I had a lot of fun. Got to talk about all the fuckery of the Flat Earth Conference. Not all of it, but most of it. And had a nice little chat. Holiday season coming up. Don't know when I'll go live next. Hopefully something interesting happens. It's been great having you guys. Don't know what to say. It was exhausting, but it was informative for all. Everyone got to hear all the sides of the argument. So, appreciate all y'all's participation. Thank you so much. This has been Validation Boy live stream, November 19th, 2018.